the structure of the Bible. And the structure of the Bible consists of the New Testament, which are the historical books, and the Old Testament, which are the prophetic books, meaning that the prophet wrote them. And the prophets journeying through the Bible with the structure, you have to always remember that Jesus, God, is the foundation of the whole thing. And the structure is built upon the foundation. And then you have to see that upon this rock I will build my church. So when we read it, we take into what Jesus is coming in the Old Testament. They talk about Jesus coming. In the New Testament, it fulfills his ascension. The Old Testament is his descension. The New Testament is his ascension. So with the structure of the Bible, the prophetic books, they were used to, I'm just going to say they were used to expose the sinful practices of the people, and also to call the people back to call the people back to the moral, civil, and ceremonial law of God, and also to warn the people of the coming judgment. And the last and main thing was to anticipate the coming of the Messiah. They knew he was coming, but they didn't know when. And also going into the New Testament, the historical books, which are Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and the book of Acts, they talk about the historical accounts of the life and times of Jesus Christ. And the doctrine, okay, edit that. The doctrinal,
we know.
That's right.
the doctrinal books, they speak of the letters, the historical books of the New Testament, which are 22 letters. And the 22 letters talks about the persecution, false teachers, and the superiority of Christ. So we're going to push the paper aside now. When you get into the foundation of the church, you have to get into yourself, because the foundation can be the building, but we are the structure. And us being the structure, God builds himself within the structure, which in turn he builds himself within each and every one of us. And so when we come together as a whole, we form the whole building. And inside the building, which is the church, we come. And we come to church to worship God, tell him mainly to worship him, but also to tell him our true feelings and relationship that we have with him. If we don't have one, we develop one. And that comes in time. Nothing's done overnight, because our time and Jesus' time are two different times. But in going through the structure of the Bible, we also have to remember everything was told to us what to do. Our lives are to be structured around the teachings of Jesus Christ. As he taught his apostles, so too does he teach us in everything that we do from day to day. Sometimes we may not want to hear it. We'll turn our back to him. But at the same time, he never turns his back to us. And we may think he leaves us, but he never leaves us. He's right there waiting on us with an open hand. Because if we fall, he has his hand there to pick us up again. And reading the Bible, as Brian said before me, when you open it, God will guide your hand on where to. He will take you right there and meet you at your need. No matter what that need is, he will meet you right there. He just asks that we come to him. But with the structure of the Bible, you can go from Old Testament into the New Testament. Because like I said before, it all fits. And when we see that it all fits, that's a very, very, very big healing. To know that everything comes together in our life like a jigsaw puzzle. But at the same time, in the Bible, just as Jesus has a doctrine, Satan has a doctrine. And we have to learn to separate that doctrine from Jesus and Satan. Because most of all, we always have to remember, before Satan fell, he was the first head angel of light and beauty. And he got jealous of us. So when we go into the Bible, know your enemy, so you know what you face. And know the Bible, not just to quote it. Anyone can sit and quote it. But when you put those quotes into action in your heart and let the Bible use you, take the word out and draw it into your being. Because the word of Jesus penetrates each and every one of us, not only through our ears and mouth, but through our heart and soul all at one time. And that's what we have to do, not just pick the Bible up and read it and put it down. Oh, that's it. The Bible, it's like food. It gives us nourishment. And not only will it feed us physically, internally, it's spiritual food. And Jesus taught us that spiritual food is what we need right now. Because a lot of people are hurting from the inside and the outside. And Jesus said, and just my feeling, we are here to go on this journey, but at the same time, cast our fishing rods out to men that are all around us and reel them in with the Word of God. Because once you get reeled into the Word of God, you're not going anywhere but to His arms. And that's why I can say that we're here tonight and we are reeling each other in. Because we all have a part to play in this ever-changing picture. And like a kaleidoscope, it changes, the world changes, but the word of Jesus remains the same. And I feel that if we don't take anything from this class, we're going to take the word of Jesus with us throughout the day, the weeks, the month, and the years to come. Because if we didn't need him then, we know we need him now. In every way, shape, and form that we live. We fall, but we're going to get back up. Because why are we going to get back up? Because Jesus makes sure, just as he lets us go into our nightly slumber and wakes us up, he makes sure he's, on the beginning of the day, he starts us on our way. And he only asks one thing. Don't treat me like they treated me in the street when I had to carry that rugged cross. Because what I did, he did for all of us. And sometimes we get misconstrued about, I'm just a Bible thumper. Well, let me be a Bible thumper. I'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I think in this class, we're getting what we need, not what we want. And therefore, we can take that with us. No matter where we go, we are not ashamed to be who we are. Because we cannot measure our success by another person's yardstick. No way. We have to sit at our own table. And Jesus brings us to that table. And when he brings us to that table, he expects us to eat with him. And when we eat with him, we get nourished. And that's what we take with us through our lives until we get to the other side. And then we'll really know what it's all about. But while we're here, we have to do what's right. And ain't no we have to. We're going to and we will. And that's why we have the church. When we fall, we lift each other up, no matter where we are and who we are. And that's all that God ever wanted us to do. And his son's name is to lift us all up, and we hold up each other. If my brother or sister fall, I'm not going to stomp them down. I'm going to pick you back up and let you know you're not alone. Because if we can't model ourselves after Jesus, just as the apostles did when he left, who are we? We're no better than anybody else. But Jesus raised us up to be more. Because, and I'll let you go after I say this, when we are sons and daughters of a king, prince and princesses, we know that Jesus is king. And God sits on the throne. And Jesus sits at his right-hand side. We are children. We are no less. He gives us the choice and free will. And you have to choose God and choose Jesus. That's all I have to say.